And so I think it's important that you understand the clinical trial process. I'm not saying the pill is bad. I just want you to think about how to make health decisions for yourself. You want to be especially vigilant, especially staying on top of it. Once I got the information I needed, I started to move in that direction about how to make health decisions for yourself.
In your mind, what would you say to brothers that's not vaccinated or just people in general?
I'm glad to hear you are protected, and thanks for being so honest here on Keeping It 100, because that's what we do. Hey. Welcome to Keeping It 100, where we have these open and honest conversations to make sure you get all the information you need to make better health decisions. I'm your host, Dr. Kristin Motley, and of course, we have a great show in store for you today. If you think of questions, always put them in the chat. Holler at us in the chat. Let us know you're listening and you're watching. Give yourself a shout out for being here today. So let me just bring in my amazing co-host, the street practitioner himself, Mr. Georgie Mink Jr.
Hey, hello.
Gee,
how you doing, Doc? I'm good. How you doing?
You busy?
Yeah, I'm smiling though.
He's smiling through the pain.
Woo, I'm smiling.
Take some deep breaths. That's all. Just take some deep breaths.
That's right. I gotta learn from my exercises.
The stuff is real. Like the stuff that we talk about when it's like, if you feel stressed, like take a pause, take a break, take some deep breaths. That stuff actually works. It really works. So we're not just like talking about it for play. It's real tools.
Right.
So absolutely. When you're feeling overwhelmed, there's a lot going on. Just go find a corner and just take like 3 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just kind of bring yourself down a little bit. It's not going to fix the problems, but it'll make you feel a little bit better.
Right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So we did the Black Business Bazaar on Saturday in Chester. That was a good event. We had some pictures and some videos to show.
Yeah.
It was good. It had a nice crowd to come out. We did a lot of education. What you think about it?
I just like when our people come together like that. Like, I mean, it's a joy to see entrepreneurship at its finest. Men, women. I'm seeing more women stepping that game up and beating the odds. I think COVID really set everybody up. It's just we gotta find another way to get
creative.
Yeah, because the world got shut down. You know what? Let me start using my creative mind thinking, and let's go into another direction and put my skills to use. So shout out to the bazaar, man. Great energy in the building. I love being around our people like that.
Yeah, that was good. And I think that's a really good point you made about COVID, just kind of making us rethink our lives or what's important to us, what's not important to us. And so a lot of entrepreneurship came out of that, which is amazing, especially for the Black community, because we need our own. We need our own again. And so I love that.
Do we have any pictures, Doc, or videos?
We do, but I thought they was going to pop up, but I don't. Oh, here they go.
There go one. Okay.
There go Kristin doing her thing.
There we go.
Lovey was helping.
Yeah.
She was going hard.
There I go. Talking to my mom.
That's what I was waiting for. I'm talking to my mom. There you go, doing your thing, Jim.
Yeah, I was doing my thing out there.
Always. So yeah, that was a good event. So it's March 1st. It is Women's History Month. This month, we are going to highlight important women from history who have made history. They could be current. They are just going to be women history makers. And of course, they're going to be Black. And all month, each week, we're going to have a female guest. And we are going to look at topics that impact women's health. And so looking at people, women as busy moms and working moms and wives or being in a relationship, what is impacting our health? And we're going to tackle topics along those lines each week this month. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into the street practitioner's moment in women's history.
Oh yeah, let's go. So we are honoring the Honorable Carol Kazim, my sister, my friend, my confidant, my mentor. I'm gonna just give a little bit of information about her. She is actually the first PA state representative of color, a woman of color. So I was actually honored to speak at her inauguration. It brought tears to my eyes because we marched through the streets together. And, great things with our sister running things. She's up in Harrisburg. Shout out to my sis handling business. And I'm going to just give you a little bit of history about her. She actually is 30 years old, a mother, an activist, and a lifelong resident of the great city of Chester. She attended the Chester Upland School District up until her high school years, where she graduated from Ridley High. Wow. Okay. Her values are illustrated throughout her professional work. She worked in healthcare for over 10 years as a caregiver, medical coder, and a behavioral and mental health specialist. Currently, she serves as a trauma-informed outreach worker and violence interrupter. Actually, that was before she became state rep. But she basically was running off her values based on she was just fed up with the lack of leadership from our elected officials, unaccountable leadership. And that's basically what led her to run. So that's basically my moment for Carol Kazim. Shout out to our sister from the hood. But that's my segment for the week.
That's awesome. That was wonderful. And congratulations, Carol, on everything. I did not know that she was a mentor or is a mental health specialist. That's really good to know. We're going to bring her on the show as a guest, from her previous hat.
Right.
Or we can tie in the politician hat to the current. I don't know. We're going to do something, but we're going to have her on. Okay. But I also wanted to mention, I know she has a mental health event coming up. Les just mentioned it on March 11th at Chester High School from 10 to 2. So if you're in or near Chester, she is hosting an event with the school district at Chester High School from 10 to 2 on Saturday, March 11th. So that should be a really good event. And I look forward to hearing more about her specialty and learning more about her work. That's going to be nice. Nice job, G.
Hey. And it's a good start. It's a great start.
It's a good start. You're right. So let's hop over to this health news update. Of course, we're going to start with COVID. So the FBI announced that COVID was likely leaked from a China lab. Now, a few days before that, the Energy Department said the same thing, except for they said that they could only reach that conclusion with low confidence. So this sparked a bunch of debate about, did it come from a lab or did it come from the earth, through the bats to the open market. And it's just like a lot of back and forth. And the thing is that you can't go by what you feel. Like, what is the information? What does the science say? Don't share with us any information that's not based on science, because then you just causing a lot of confusion. I don't know. For me, it's just annoying that it's 3 years into this. We still don't know where it came from. And I think that if it did come from a lab in China, that would be good to know, because then we can know, what do we need to put in place to prevent something like this from happening again. Over 1 million people have died. And of course, China is like, y'all lying, don't lie on us. And it's just a mess. So it's just unfortunate. But G, what you think about it?
I mean, it's crazy because Donald Trump was saying like he was being funny in the beginning. I mean, but I just remember when he was in office, he took it lightly in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I think, depending on our leadership and not really throwing no shade, I think we could have actually kind of prevented some of them, how far it went into our country if we would have took some earlier measures.
There's no question about that.
When we first had the signs of it, when we first heard about it, we kind of ignored it. It was like a lightweight news segment, and it just started growing and growing and growing. And before you know it, it shut our the whole world down, basically.
It's embarrassing. No other country has had more deaths than the United States. We're not even the largest country in the world. Out of the whole world, we've had the most deaths, it is embarrassing. I don't know where COVID came from. All I know is it's here. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
Over 150,000 Black people have buried their loved ones.
Wow.
It is a disgrace. And so one thing I do know is that we have these vaccines. We know that the vaccines work. They help prevent death and they help prevent people from going to the hospital. That's what we expected them to do. That's what they do very well.
Right.
The only thing we can say is get the information you need to get vaccinated and stay up to date on boosters. If you haven't heard, a new booster was approved last September. Get the new booster. If it's been a while since your last COVID shot, it is time to get a booster. It's just too much. I'm just over it. But we can't stop talking about it, although it seems like it's going and we're all back to normal. People are still dying every day. And the people that are dying now are older people that are 50. Well, they're not really old. They are older than me. They're
Right.
50 and up, and they're not boosted, or the people who are dying from COVID now. So if you know, or if you are 50 and up, or you know somebody and they didn't get their booster, please encourage them to get their booster.
Yes, please.
Right, I'm done with COVID today. That's all I got. All right, so I want to talk a little bit. I was reading an article recently. It's an old article, but I just came across it, and it talked about how the typical white family has 10 times the wealth of a typical Black family. And research has shown that children who grow up in poverty are more likely to not have health insurance as adults, and they don't go get the medical care that they need because they can't afford it. Their health deteriorates. They can't work because they're sick, and it just spirals and continues. This adds stress to people's lives. Like in their real life, it adds stress on top of everything else that people are dealing with. They're sick. And then when you're Black, it's more stress. And so it's just a lot. And we know that stress causes anxiety, depression, weight gain, sleep issues, heart issues, stroke, high blood pressure, like all these things. So being in a constant state of stress is just not good. And money is a source of stress for people. So for instance, the Noah school called me yesterday and said I owe $500. And I was like, oh, okay. So I pulled out my little card. I was about to pay. And let me check my bank account. And I was like, oh, I got $75 in this account. I can't pay his tuition. That was stressful for me. I felt like they were going to be like, he can't come tomorrow if I can't pay. And so it's just like I want to, as a mom and looking at how to help women, I want us to just get better and better and better at managing our money. And so I thought it would be good to have on a financial educator, and that's why we have Rachael on today. She is a certified financial educator. She has taught over 100 classes in schools and universities and programs. She is a best-selling author, and she is an investor in real estate and small Black-owned businesses. Welcome to the show, Rachael. And can I get a loan because the boy tuition is due and they want their money?
Right.
Hey, them people.
I know, right?
Hey, Rach, how you doing?
Hey, I'm unstoppable. How are you?
I see you. I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm blessed. I'm all right.
So let's just start off by talking about like why is this important? Why is this financial health information so important to you? Like, why do you do this work?
I do this work because financial freedom, I believe, is for all of us. I believe that we've been told, women and just people of color in general, that it's not for us. Luxury is not for you. Financial peace is not for you. Financial freedom is not for you. It's just not designed to be for you. And so I started this work 10 years ago. Just at the time I was going door to door, honestly, and helping people with their budgets and their credit and all that type of stuff. Just to let people know, like, it is for you. And so that's where the work started.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Lord, for putting it in her heart to go door to door and then, across the globe to help us because we need help.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what stress you see in your clients, and particularly taking a look at the pressures that are on women to earn a living, compared to how it used to be when George and I were prepping for this topic? one point that he brought up was that women didn't really work like that back in the day. George, did you want to add something about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just based off of like the dynamics of the household. Meaning like the man was pretty much the provider, and the woman was basically the home caretaker. And and it had a lot to do with the times and even the like finances of like how things was being done, like wages and everything was based off of labor and warehouse work and just making ends meet, like James Evans. So nowadays, I mean, a household is basically budgeted between both people. Like and a lot of households now, the women is pretty much the breadwinner. But credit wasn't really taught to us like back in the day. We was always taught about having money first and just be happy to be eating and just be thankful to have some food on the table. So our upbringing was kind of tough because credit wasn't really introduced to our families. It was just about making ends meet, having a coat on your back. And that was pretty much the stereotypical things how we grew up. But now, I mean, of course, we have to start introducing credit to the younger generation and how important it is, and it's pretty much the key to life. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk about how we're not that long ago, women couldn't get their own mortgages. They had to be married, right? They couldn't get their own credit cards. They couldn't get their own car loans. And again, when I say not that long ago, my grandmother was one of those women, right? And so you didn't have the opportunity to build your own, even if you wanted to, right? You really didn't have the luxury of trying to do it without a guy, right? You had to be married. And so right now, a lot of women are just happy that we've got like a glimpse of like some freedom there where we can kind of do whatever we want. And, these limits have been removed and we're kind of really excited about that. And then, we discover that we can juggle, right? We can do a little bit, we can do both. And so there is, and even with the article that was mentioned earlier, it's kind of interesting because I think the number is 76% of doctors report that their patients come in complaining about stress from money related issues, right? So there is a direct correlation between financial freedom, financial peace, and your health. Wealth and health, it does go together. Yes, I tell people all the time, being financially free means that you can be concerned about the problem and not the cost of the problem, right? We have this thing where if, someone hits us, we get into a car accident, the first thing we're thinking about, oh my goodness, the deductible, right? Can I afford the deductible? Or if someone is sick or not feeling well, we're going to do everything at home for free that we can, or just wait it out because we don't have the money for the copay. We don't have that insurance coverage that we are looking for or that we need. And so that is causing issues with us, in multiple different ways, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even those kinds of things. And so it's very good that we are having this conversation because it's important.
I agree. So it's tax season too, right? So people getting their refunds. I know I can't wait to get my refund, and I better get a refund this year, IRS. I am not playing with y'all. Although I don't mind owing, because when I owe, that means that I held my money and I can do something with it. So I don't mind, but I can use a refund in 2023. So I'll be glad to get that. But what do you advise your clients to do with their tax refunds? Like, do you say, pay off debt or put it up in a savings, or does it depend?
Yeah, it definitely depends. I always say personal finance is personal.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not one size fit all. But the number one goal is to have an emergency fund. Right. So if you already have that, then I would say, okay, well, what other goals do you have? Is it somewhere that you want to invest a little bit more? Do you have some debt that's just like getting out of control. I named my company Missing Peace, PEACE, because my goal is to help you get closer to peace today. So I would ask you, what is taking you away from peace today? For some people, it is their credit card debt. For some people, it is, not having being able to answer those phone calls from the school or things like that, right? Not having emergency funds. So I would tell you, you need to find out, or just ask yourself, what would get me closer to peace? And then, that's where you should put your money. But if you don't have emergency fund, that should be your number one goal, I would say.
I love that. Come through. I feel like I'm on a new segment with Susie Orman or something, like the Black Susie Orman or something. You killing it, girl. You killing it.
We can do
that. Yes. I know Dr. Thomas had a text question too.
Hello. So I was texting privately to say that I had recently heard a couple of shows where the author was talking about how the way that taxes are collected in this country is sort of disadvantages to earner households, right? So like if you have a person who's a single earner, and then you have another person who is, the person who stays at home, they get more kind of like tax advantages. And so I guess I was just wondering, maybe talking through that a little bit. And, do you advise having a tax planner, or what are your thoughts about both of those ideas?
Well, I think everyone should talk to a tax planner at least once every few years, especially if you're in a situation where maybe your household condition, things have changed. Maybe you had a baby, or maybe you did get married, maybe you got divorced, whatever it may be. Maybe you changed jobs. Maybe you got a crazy promotion, right? I always say that whenever you have those kinds of changes, you might need to go to a tax professional. And I know we love just going to the lady up the street and going to aunt such and such and uncle such and such that's been doing
taxes.
That's been doing everybody's taxes for years, but it would be worth it for you to just invest at least 1 year, just to make sure that everything is in order and all those things. And then if you want to, take the information and go back, then you could do that as well. But we're always going to have these things where, of course, the more you earn, the more household income you have, the more you're going to get taxed, right? The less that you qualify for all of the breaks and the perks and this and that, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, if you're someone who is in that bottom tier, those bottom tiers, you're like, great, I'm glad that I'm getting some type of relief, some type of help, some type of support here, right? But as you climb up, you're like, all right, now they're taking all my money. I don't qualify. So it's kind of like a gift and a curse a little bit. Yeah. But I always tell people, you want to make sure that, especially now, these last 2 years, a lot of things have changed. A lot of the advantages that were put in place because of COVID when it comes to your taxes are going away or are gone. So a lot of people are surprised and very shocked by the return or the lack thereof this year. And so this is definitely a great year if you have it in a few years to not do it yourself or not have auntie do it, get you a tax professional. It's worth the investment. Just make sure that you're clear and you're doing everything correctly. So that was a good question.
How do you find a tax professional?
So I would say people come to me pretty often. I have a guy that I kind of deal with, but there are, I would just put it out there. Some people I've just seen just put it out there on social media, okay. Like, hey, especially if you specifically want to support a Black-owned business, like, hey, do you have anyone who does this who's great? So yeah, I would just put it out there. But again, with Google and with social media, it's really easy to find people.
Should they be a CPA or have any other credentials?
There are credentials. I don't remember. CPAs are great, yes. But there are also additional credentials that the IRS gives you, and I'm drawing a blank on what the actual letters are. But just make sure.
Okay, Dr. Thomas gonna get it. Don't worry.
Okay, all right. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure that they are in the position to do your taxes.
Yeah, that's true.
How about that?
What advice do you give people who want to tackle credit card debt?
Well, you need to know what's coming in and what's going out, right? And a lot of people don't like the B word. budget. But for my clients, we name it whatever you want to name it. For some of us, it's the dream plan. For other of us, it's the peace plan, whatever you want to call it. But you need to know what your numbers are. You need to know what's coming in, what's going out, and you want to try to find ways to widen the gap between that what's income and outgone. Right? Because that money in the middle, that difference is where you're going to pay off your debt. That's when you're going to invest. That's where you're going to save. That's where your wealth is going to come from. And so if you don't have much of a difference, then you can't really attack, any extra debt. So now you need to focus on how can I widen this gap here? Maybe I need to focus on decreasing some of these expenses. Maybe I need to shift my cell phone plan. Maybe I need to shift my cable plan or something like that, right? Maybe I need to cook at home more and not eat out as much, whatever it may be. And then maybe I need to see if I can increase some money coming in. Can I do Uber Eats sometimes here and there? Can I do this? Can I do that? And then that money, that difference, that's where you're going to attack that debt. I would say the most expensive, right? Because many of you, your credit card debt or your interest rates on it have gone up in the last 6 months, right? So you want to try to save money as much as possible. So try to see if you can apply some extra money, even if it's an extra $5 to your credit card debt.
Wow. Sheesh.
I know it's a lot.
It's big stuff.
Spitfires.
Listen, I'll say this. I mentioned that I paid off $100,000 worth of debt. And I started when I was making $8.75 an hour when I started on my journey to being debt-free, completely debt-free. So I tell everyone I started with paying an extra $5 a month on my car payment and on my student loan debt. So if it wasn't for that, I would not have become completely debt-free. I am 12 years without a car payment and 10 years without student loan debt.
Wow.
So it is awesome. Possible. It is possible.
I love that. And you also shared something about your credit score. I mean, I don't know if you want to make it
I now have a perfect credit score. I posted it on my Instagram.
Oh, cool.
I'm at 850 across the board.
Wow.
Yes, Rachel, that is awesome. And so, listen, y'all, when you are looking for people to give you advice and to tell you what to do, you want to go to people who are living it, who are breathing it, who are doing it for themselves. Like if I'm overweight and I'm looking for someone to help me lose weight, I think I want to go with someone who was overweight, who was able to lose weight. And so, when you're looking for professionals, regardless of what it is, look for people who know what they're doing and who may have their own experiences in that thing. And that's how you know that you got a good one. Good job, Rachel. Good job. I haven't checked my credit score in years. It's probably a bad thing. I should probably check it.
Yeah, check it.
I should have good credit. I've always had good credit because my mom, she taught us from being little, pay your bills, pay them on time. And if you have credit cards, at least make the minimum payment. Don't miss any student loan debts. So I make all of that. So I've always had good credit, but I have never had an 850 across the board.
Right. Wow.
I've been slipping in a couple little areas. How about you, G? You want to talk about your credit score?
Not at all. Actually, I'm gonna have to call her after the show.
Listen.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because we just we were taught about having money first. So, even with Wu-Tang, it's like it comes from that era, Yeah. So it's really not cash, it's credit. Credit rules everything around us. So, I mean, the most important thing, though, is instilling it in your kids. I think the younger you start these habits, the better off, as far as your adulthood and things will be easier.
It's the truth.
We'll put places like Rent-A-Center and all these buy here, pay here places out of business. Yep. If you notice, they plague in the black areas.
Come on, G. Come with it, G.
They plague us. They in our areas for a reason.
Yep.
Because we big on just having things now. We're not disciplined with our money. So that's the most important thing. I mean, what Rachel did was great, but the average person won't take that advice and just be so disciplined. They'll spend $2,000 on a birthday outfit. You know what I mean? And still owe bills or won't invest in some of the bad debt on their credit report. So it's all about discipline and just redirecting our mindset of just in our community alone. You know, we would have so much more and just be more owners of things instead of borrowers and people winning off our high interest rates every day. Like, it's crazy. Like we could be making good money, but if you're paying a $500-600 car note on a $2014 car, what's the point? I mean, and you'll never pay that off, you know, with those high interest rates, and you're just making ends meet, and you'll never be ahead. So this is something that I really want to instill within our children. And I actually want to talk to Rachel later on because it's a major stress in our community, in our household.
It is.
So, like when we was talking, I really was trying to connect the stress area, but it's very stressful when you know you got bad credit. So you might go to a store and they be like, "Oh, you want to open up a credit?" "Oh, no, you know, my credit is horrible." We don't even really know. So, you know, it's just a stress or something that we don't want to address. And we just deal with life every day. But it is a stressful thing in the household when, you know, you or your spouse or both of y'all have bad credit. So, you know, it would take away if we start investing into our credit more and just our future history financially. So everything you're saying is spot on, Rach. I mean, I actually have to catch up with some things. So what advice would you have as far as somebody that's basically starting from scratch, their credit is super low? What would be like some avenues that we could take from the beginning? Like not somebody that didn't do it the right way. Like I'm actually in preparation and trying to build my credit now, but it's low. Like it's probably like a 5 or low, probably high 5s, maybe mid 5s. I'm not sure. But I did have student debt loan. I thought we was getting help from Biden. That never came.
It's in court now.
Right.
I don't even want to get started.
Right.
I'm gonna just be quiet.
He gave folks a bunch of food stamps and he didn't help people with the credit. So I'm just, you know, so give me a little bit of advice before we go into a little further.
Well, I would say the biggest thing is making sure you're paying things on time. Get up to date on everything. A lot of people don't have any clue of the due dates of their actual bills. And that's the number one thing you need to know. Take some time to go find out the due dates of all of your bills, write them down, and then put a reminder to pay it 7 days in advance. Okay. Then try to pay extra. Again, even if it's $5 more, if you have a car payment, if you have a student loan payment, if you have credit cards, try to pay at least $5 more than what they're requiring you to pay.
Okay.
Then you start there. Then, you know, if you don't have a credit card, maybe you get a secure card, right? You know, get approved for a secure card and use it wisely. Most of the ones, if you use it really good for 6 months, they'll transfer it over to a regular card and you will start to see your credit improve. And this is a great time because until the end of this year, you can still get your 3 full credit reports from the government, annualcreditreport.com, for free. So this is a good time to be able to monitor your credit over time. You can check it every single week for free.
How you do that? Wait a minute. How you do that?
So you go to annualcreditreport.com.
Okay.
And they're going to say, it's actually going to say, this is the only website authorized by the federal government to give you your full credit report. So you want to make sure that it says that on the top before you put your personal information in there. But you can go all 3 and you can download all 3 reports. And this is going to end at the end of this year. So this is something they put in place when COVID started, and every week that you can check your credit, and it's going to end at the end of this year. So this is the perfect time to build your credit because you can actually monitor it as you're building it. But those are the 2 things you want to make sure you're doing. Paying things early if you can, 7 days early if you can, and, you know, get your credit cards moving and using it for small things and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Nice. We need that information in the chat. That free credit report. I need.
It's in there. I'm gonna go back to
all right, copy, because I'm ready. I gotta, I want to vote. So
yes. Rachel, this was amazing. This was really, really good. George, did you have a follow-up question?
I mean, I pretty much combined them. So it was just like the starter up deal, like, you know, there's somebody that's in the mid-crisis with that credit. And, that was great advice because I always was paying the minimum of everything. And, just, I'm sorry, there's a bell going on. But
we know you working.
Yeah. But yeah, Doc, that pretty much was it. It was
Yeah, it
just
was good.
based off, everything coming together and how to start, because the starter up is the most important thing for somebody with bad credit.
Yeah, like the
So
first step, like taking the
yes,
first step.
right, and that'll help ease when things is working in your favor. That'll ease some pressure on your mindset that it is moving forward. So
Amen.
I appreciate that advice,
Amen.
Rich. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. So real quick, what do you think about side hustles? Like you talked about it a little bit, doing like to Amazon driver or Uber Eats or whatever. What do you think about incorporating those ways, or even starting a business maybe to bring in some extra money?
Everyone should do it. I mean, it's just we can't survive off one income anymore. We just can't. And I feel like everyone should do it. Some people say entrepreneurship is not for everyone. You won't know what's for you until you start it. And everyone is doing something for free very well that someone else somewhere is getting paid to do.
For it. Amen.
So why wouldn't you be that one getting paid? Exactly. So why should you be doing it for free if someone's getting paid for it? And so you need to think of, what is this something that everyone comes to me for? Even if it's the cupcakes for family reunion or whatever it may be, somebody is selling some good cupcakes and they're making good money off of it. So, yes, the Uber Eats, the drop, there's just way too many ways for us to be, have extra income now that we've never had before. And we need to take advantage of all of them.
That's true. That's good. You really shared a lot of good information. I know you have a lot going on yourself, between your business and your job and just all that you have going on. So I have one question for you. Like, how do you take care of yourself? Is there one thing that you do to make sure that you're good and you're at peace? You don't have any missing pieces in your own life. You share a tip for our ladies?
I'm up between 5 and 5:30 talking to God every morning. And so I start my day that way. And now I've been doing that for a very, very long time. And that is my first way that I make sure I'm full in the morning.
Awesome. So that is a great way to start the day. Absolutely. Love that. Thank you so much, Rachael, for coming on. We are going to have you back now that George understands that it's a connection between money and health, because I'm on the phone trying to pitch this show and he like, well, I don't see it. And I'm like, gee, are you
we was going back and forth. Like, how does it relate? I don't know. We talk about self-care.
Oh my gosh, he was telling me.
But
now that he's
cool.
in.
I got it. Thanks, Rach. Like, I got it.
So we'll definitely have you come back, Rachael. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rach. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, G, that was good. I got some homework and you got some homework, so we're going to hold each other accountable.
Definitely.
The first thing I'm going to do is pay these people before they kick my son out of school. So I'm going to have to go to another account and get these people paid before they be like, keep them home tomorrow. So our next event is on Saturday, March 18th. Well, we may be at Carol's event on March 11th. So we may be at Chester High School doing the mental health day there. There's a flyer. But that says April 15th. That the same thing, Les?
Yeah, that's the event, but it's not till April.
March 11th.
No, that's not.
I'm sorry. March 11th is the grand opening. It is April 15th.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So sorry.
My bad.
So March 11th, we have our the grand opening of Carol Kazim's office, the state rep office, and then April 15th at Chester High, we're having the mental health fair.
Okay. Right. Thanks for clarifying that, Liz. So
I know. I'm sorry. I jacked you all up. My bad. It's April.
It's all good. No problem. We will be in Marcus Hook on Saturday, March 18th from 1 to 3. We're doing a COVID clinic there. We're playing bingo. So that's going to be a fun day. It's going to be at the Marcus Hook Firehouse. So if you know somebody that have not gotten their booster, especially if they're 50 or older, or if they haven't been vaccinated, I am trying to see some first dosers, some second dosers. We can vaccinate anyone 3 and up. Please bring them out so we can get our community up, vaxxed and boosted. Remember, COVID is out there. It ain't going nowhere. The best thing we can do is make sure we are updated on our vaccines and boosters. Thanks for tuning in today. We will see you next week and every Wednesday at 12:15 right here on cmpradio.net. Keeping it 100
all day. Have a good one, Doc.
You too.
You out, bro?
I'm glad to hear you are protected, and thanks for being so